Boys, let's get to it.
Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show. Enjoy the show. Lights, camera, action.
What's up, everybody? Three Amigos.
What?
In a podcast. Episode.
What is up?
41.
I don't know. You're the freaking commissioner.
Episode 41.
Yeah, you.
What's up?
You keep a running tally.
I do. I count. What's up, guys? I'm over here in Massachusetts.
Michigan? You were about to say Michigan?
I forgot where I was. Yeah, over here.
Yeah, how was the flight over there, dude?
It was alright, man. It was like 5.5 hours, direct shot. I brought my Nintendo Switch on the plane, so just played that basically the whole time, which was nice. But yeah, it wasn't too bad. I had a middle seat, but there was plenty of room on the plane.
I don't really mind the middle seat unless I'm in between like two really fat people.
No, I wasn't. I was in between like some lady and this little guy. But,
yeah, so you're good.
And then I like to sit in the exit row, and then like extra leg room.
Mm-hmm.
Plus also the life. Doing it slowly. But everyone listening, we're recording via Skype, so it might be a little hard. Plus it's weird, I can hear myself talk, but it's on a delay.
That's uncomfortable.
Yeah, it makes me feel weird. But how you guys doing over there?
Good, man.
Ryan, you had your little trip to Indiana. How'd that go?
Yeah. It was awful.
What happened?
Oh God, here we go.
Okay.
So, that morning, Thursday morning, I woke up and my eye was bugging me. I didn't really think too much about it, so I just popped my contact out, went to the gym, and then I went to work that morning. And I got to work, and like about an hour in, I was like, man, this eye is really bugging the crap out of me. So I went home early, and Shayla and I had like contemplated going to like urgent care, but it wasn't getting any worse. So I was like, all right, it's fine. Like, we'll just make it out there. We're only going to be there for a weekend. And then we get on the plane, and the pressure starts kicking in, and my eye starts getting a whole lot worse. And I take sleeping pills every time I get on the plane, just some like sleepy, little natural thing. And so my body was tired, but I couldn't fall asleep because it hurt to close my eye. So our flight was delayed. We got into Chicago at like 2 in the morning, and we got over to our parents' hotel, and we had to be up at 6 to be on the road to Indiana. So I didn't sleep at all. That sucked. And then it was continuously getting worse like throughout the day. So we went to urgent care in Indiana, and they gave me some like drops and nasal spray because apparently I had like this thing where I had like a sinus issue that was like flooding my tear ducts. So my eye was like flooding, and we didn't have anywhere to go.
You can just cry it out?
No, dude, because like even if I like cried, like they weren't coming out. Like they were just like swelling my eye. So I had to deal with like that, and then everybody coming up to me during the trip telling me that I looked like shit. So that was fun.
Oh, that's always nice. Yeah, I feel like shit. Thanks for telling me.
Yeah. Yeah, and it's like whenever you take like, and I didn't know it until I got back, but whenever they give you like those steroids to suppress like congestion and things like that, it like destroys your immune system. So like I woke up yesterday morning with like a super scratchy throat and like all that crap. So like, what the fuck? So like I guess I have to take the steroids again, and now I feel loopy. You wrote it out.
That sounds terrible.
Yeah, man. So it was a very long weekend.
Yeah. Plus you guys went to Indiana for...
Yeah, it was for Haley. It was Haley's grandpa's funeral, but it was beautiful. He had a lot of people show up, so it wasn't a viewing. So we had like a gathering at the funeral home first, and then we had the mass the next day. It was so cold there, so when they went to do like the burial part, we were outside at the cemetery. And he was military, so they did like the presentation of the flag, and you know how when they do that, like it's an art form, like you have to do it at like a certain pace. And I felt so bad because you could tell they were freezing their ass off, and so was everybody else, but they like had to keep with the same pace of holding the flag.
Yeah.
So I was like, oh man.
With all the cadences of like hold and then this and hold, turn.
Yep. But it was nice. And it was definitely good for us to be there for Shaylee's mom.
Yeah. That's always nice when there's like a good send-off and beautiful ceremony.
Oh, definitely, yeah.
Well, B, how was your week?
It was good. Kind of celebrated St. Patrick's Day as not even really like traditionally, but had me and Dominic barbecued at the house, kind of took it easy. She's constantly around people all the time, so anytime she just get to just like relax, that's kind of what she wants to do.
Yeah.
And I'm not opposed to it either, especially St. Patrick's Day gets really crowded out there. Grilled, watched that movie Instant Family, that Mark Wahlberg movie. I don't know if you guys saw like any of the trailers for it or anything.
Yeah, I saw the trailers for it.
It's like a feel good movie. I thought it was gonna be funnier, but it would still have some funny moments. It was a good movie. You end up feeling, like I said, feel good movie. But
dude, so
aside from that, went skating. Kind of been going to the gym regularly. So it's nice to have some free time.
nice.
Granted, we should go to the gym. It could be schoolmates.
Schoolmates, that's right.
Dude, so
you have the super sport? Or?
No, I don't have super sport.
I can do regular. I don't care.
I just because I hate going to Balboa, and the UCC one with that new parking lot there is a pain in the ass.
Well, they have all bumper plate racks at Balboa now. Like they have them all lined up along that mirror on the end there.
Oh, that's good.
Yeah, they have like a sign too that says like can't spend more than 30 minutes on these things, even though people still do. But
dude, so you know how this weekend was St. Patrick's Day?
yeah,
So I did this thing, and they're incredible. It's called an Irish hand grenade.
oh yeah, I saw the snap on that.
Dude, they were so good. I had like 6 of them. It was incredible.
What are in the shots on that?
So it's a half pint of Guinness, and then you do a shot of Bailey's or like Irish cream, and then you get a shot of Jameson, and you kind of like stagger them. When you pull the shot of Jameson, the Irish cream drops down. You do the shot, and then you chug the beer.
You have to chug it quick too.
Yeah,
that cream
curdles.
like fluffs up. Yeah.
It's good though. They're really tasty.
How many did you have?
I had like 6 of them.
Holy shit. Well, you were posted on Sunday.
I didn't feel that bad.
Did you just hang out at the house, or did you go out to like any of the bars, or what?
So, you know the guy Hanny?
Yeah.
He was in town, so he came over, and then Sarah, their sister, came, and then one of their friends. So we ended up going, we went to like a club downtown, and I hated it. I was miserable.
Yeah,
But
I'm too
I
old
felt
for
really
that shit,
good.
man.
Yeah, but
Too old
the next
for
day,
this shit.
I was still kind of drunk, so I did another one in the morning. I was celebrating St. Patrick's Day.
What's wrong with you?
Yeah, I know. I did one, and then we went to the beach for a little bit, and then I came home and packed and passed out.
What's wrong with you?
It was good.
Well, it sounded like you had a good St. Patrick's Day.
I think we all did.
I do have
Except for
to.
Ryan.
Yeah,
So, yeah.
I do have to tell you. I got to watch that video footage that Powell had from the camcorder at the wedding. That was pretty funny. And then I got to see all the videos of much golfing. Yeah.
That was fun.
Yeah, so I got to see myself hit with my pants down twice.
And then Brandon was at the end. Oh, he missed Brandon.
I got off the hook there.
I got that one, don't worry.
Now he's like got a telescope with a long range camera on it.
All right. I didn't realize that both of the ones that I didn't hit past the tees, both hit off the net. Or one of them was a net and one of them was a tree.
I think I remember that.
Because the first one you can see it clearly, it looks like it's a deep, obviously not a good shot because the tree was off to the right. So it definitely had distance on it, and then all of a sudden it just rejects back, and I was like, are you fucking kidding me?
No.
Like, me want to see you hit with your pants down.
That's what we were there for. But you guys been watching this NCAA tournament at all?
Definitely a little bit of it, but not a lot.
Yeah, I've been catching a little bit of it. Yeah, I mean, not too many upsets to be honest, but that point guard at Adam Murray State, John Morant, is probably be like a top 2, maybe 3 pick in the draft. He had like the first triple double I think since 2009 or 12 or something like that. That dude is good.
Yeah. He doesn't get a whole lot of stuff either.
Yeah, I mean, it's still early in the tournament. I think we've only seen maybe 6 or 7 games right now, I feel like.
Yeah.
Dude, what's that statistic where it's like, this is the highest, or like the most vasectomies happen in this time?
Oh, yeah, I told you about that.
What?
Statistically, the month of March has the most vasectomies done because women send their husbands to significant others to Vegas because they can get it done and then sit down and watch basketball for the weekend.
That's awesome.
Yeah, one of my old clients was telling me about that.
Look at that.
Sip that. Well, we're in that All Bad podcast March Madness tournament, aren't we?
Yeah.
I'm not. I forgot.
Yeah, I'm in it. I submitted my pick. That's a little deadline. Who you got?
We were just talking before the pod. Duke. Everyone took Duke except for you.
No, I went Gonzaga.
Dean, who did you take? Oh God, that's a fucking joke.
I got Gonzaga.
I have 3 legit brackets. I would say this is one of the most competitive years for basketball. I had North Carolina in one of mine. I had Duke and then UK. North Carolina just got a bunch of. North Carolina doesn't get a whole lot of respect, but they have a bunch of seniors on that team. That seems to play a pretty big dividend in the tournament.
That's the reason why I went with Gonzaga. There's not a lot of.
Yeah, but they lost a bunch of people.
They won last year, right? They were the tournament.
No, they didn't. They didn't win last year.
Is that 2 years ago then?
I don't think they won it.
Gonzaga? Pretty sure they did a couple of years. If it wasn't last year, I think it was 2 years ago.
Man.
Who won it last year?
Villanova won it last year. Yeah, no, Gonzaga never won.
Oh, that's right. Villanova with Dante DiVincenzo had that freaking monster game.
Yeah, Villanova knocked them both out. I think 16 and 18. So last year was Villanova versus Michigan, and the year before that, Gonzaga lost to North Carolina.
Ah, okay. I pick Duke every year just because, but
yeah, they haven't won since 2015, so it's been a pretty long 4 years.
It's time.
It's time. I mean, they are the favorites.
They have 3 of the top 4 picks in the draft on their team.
They always
talent-wise, they're talent-wise they are the most talented team. It's whether or not they fuck it up or not.
Yeah. Well, they lost to Gonzaga by 1 earlier this year too.
Yeah. Was that with or without?
Zion played. Yeah, that was
Zion.
early in the year.
Yeah, sorry, I'm trying to go over the show notes. But SDSU, what happened? So they knocked Nevada out of the Mountain West, and then they lost
so they
the tournament finals?
Yeah, they held on to beat Nevada. Nevada's only lost 4 games this year, and 2 of those losses are to San Diego State. Won that game. That was a pretty dramatic win because they're clearly the best team in the conference. And then ended up losing to Utah in the finals, but that would have given them their automatic bid into the tournament.
Yeah.
But
It's Utah State.
yeah, so yeah, I mean, pretty cool that they actually showed up during the tournament. I mean, I didn't think they would actually make it that far in the tournament. I was hoping they were going to win at least the quarters, but to make it to the actual finals, they did not have a good year.
No. But they could have gotten into the tournament.
One of the things that made me sad was, Hemsley, that guy, that he was a freshman when I graduated from state, and now he's done. He graduated. That was low-key made me really sad. Like, I don't have no ties to school now.
Come on, Aztec for life, man.
Wait, you only
Aztec
graduated 4 years ago?
Yeah.
Wow.
Well, 3 years ago, I think, right? Or 4? Yeah, 4 years ago.
I don't know, dude. That's your call.
Yeah, I don't know.
Yeah.
Come on, college.
No, 4
you
years
wanna
ago.
count?
College. You
My college.
Go to college. All right.
So I've been waiting all week because I want to talk baseball. I've been, so much stuff happened. It was 2 days ago, Trout signed that big deal. Eloy Jimenez signed his extension. Machado with his helmet. Like, so much stuff to get into. So, I don't know. Let's just start off with the Mike Trout because that was the biggest thing that happened. Signed it was like a 10-year extension, right? Because he adopted it was like an extension on top of the 2 years. So it ended up being like 12 years, $430 million. It's just ridiculous. I gotta know what you guys' thoughts are here. Ryan, just give your thoughts.
So, I mean, obviously, the best player in baseball deserves the largest contract in baseball. My only hiccup with this is that now you're claiming that because he's an MVP, he's $100 million more valuable than arguably the next best player or somebody with similar credentials that he has. I just think it sets the bar way too high for other players like Mookie Betts who are going to be signing contracts soon. And I mean, let's just face it, the Angels haven't been in a place for contention since Mike Trout's been on their team. So, I mean, obviously you want to pay the guy because he's the face of your franchise and you want him to be around forever. But at the same time, you want to do him the respect to give him a championship.
Yeah, I agree.
I mean, I think he's worth every cent of that contract, to be honest. I think we've had this discussion before. I think Mike Trout, barring, if fingers crossed, knock on wood or whatever expression you want to use, if he doesn't get hurt, I think he goes down in history as the best player to ever play the game. That's how good he is. He's going to be passing, some elite Hall of Famers this year in WAR, which is, obviously it's not the end-all be-all to tell who's the best player, but the fact that he is in that discussion already this early in his career just speaks to how talented of a player he is. And the fact that he's averaging close to 9, maybe 10 WAR every year, that's just insane. And he's doing that even on years where he's getting hurt,
Yeah. Brandon, I don't disagree with that at all. I mean, definitely.
Yeah.
I mean, like I said, my only issue is from the standpoint of the rest of the league and now how they're going to view this contract. It's going to put teams in the same situation now that Giancarlo Stanton did to the league when he signed that massive deal with the Marlins. You pay a player, the contract that you think he deserves, so he stays with you, and then we're going to end up in a similar situation with a lot of these other young guys coming up that are going to want closer to the same amount of money that Mike Trout's making. And like you said, I mean, he's the best player, and at the end of his career, he could arguably be the best player to ever play the game. But I just think going forward with the majority of the league, and that's not to say that Bryce Harper is the second best player. I mean, you look at a player like Mookie Betts in Boston, and he's going to want close to $400 million on his next contract, and so that's saying again that he's worth almost $100 million more than Bryce Harper, and I just don't think that that's true.
I mean, my only point is you say Bryce Harper is arguably the second best player in the league, blah, blah, blah. But MLB.com ranked him like 15th.
Well, that's based off of statistics from last year, too, though. I mean, if you look at that list, you see a lot of players that are coming up that had one good year, and they still have to repeat. I mean, Christian Yelich is pretty high on that list as well. But he's still got to have a repeat.
That was a contract year for him. So if you have an off year or half decent year, and they still offer you money like that,
perfectly
for Harper.
I think Harper is getting paid a lot on his potential and not necessarily, last year was definitely a down year for him, and his career's been kind of ups and downs for the most part for an elite player.
So he was the best free agent available. He wanted to get paid like the best free agent available. Yeah. And that totally makes sense to me. I don't think
There was talk that he was going to be getting paid, $400 million contract going into last year. They were talking, both him and Machado were, $400 million guys. And then it turned out that, the market held strong, and then it ended up, they ended up settling. Well, Machado, he signed with us, which nobody would have. I wonder what the Vegas odds were going into last year if they would have signed him, but I can't imagine they were favorable. But, just the fact that it seemed like the Padres could even afford someone like Machado after the year before they were talking about him getting signed for $400 million, it just seems like the market will stay true to the value of the player, I feel like.
Well, that's just the thing, though, is that now you have this contract from Mike Trout. And again, like you said, I mean, he definitely deserves every penny. He deserves to be paid the best because he is the best. And again, arguably the best to ever do it. But from an MLB standpoint, when you look at, the issues that they're going to have with the arbitration coming up in this new player negotiation, it's going to make it really tough. And I feel like the Angels panicked with all the talks of Trout, potentially leaving there after he's done, and they offered him a contract, and you can't deny that. It's going to be interesting going forward now, seeing, especially now that Nolan Arenado's already signed his deal. I don't think that Mike Trout is $100 million better than him. I mean, we're not talking chump change here. Like, we're talking about a significant $1 million per year. And I don't think we've ever seen that large of a gap in any sport.
So I just want to ask you, do you think it's smarter for a player to reach free agency or sign an extension with their team?
I mean, it depends on the situation. And if I were Mike Trout, I'd probably. He's a different character, though. He doesn't really look for the limelight of things. But I wouldn't want to finish my career with the Angels.
I think it's pretty awesome that he's gonna start and finish his career with the same team, and you just don't see that too often anymore.
Brandon's he's still on the Tony Gwynn and Hurt at the Chargers, though, so he wants every player to stick with their team.
I don't know. I think it's
well.
cool
I mean,
when a
that's
player does that.
I just think it's
totally.
cool. I don't
totally
think every
agree
player needs to do that, but I'm saying when a player does do that, that's rare.
I think that the Angels have a lot of work to do now, because one of the things with Mike Trout's legacy is that he needs to win a World Series. So now you need to start surrounding him with players And that's not via free agency. That's via the draft and, how you're building up the prospects. Because, you have a $400 million man now in Los Angeles, Anaheim, and you need to give him a supporting cast so he can, solidify his legacy as the greatest player to ever do it. Because that's going to be the biggest hiccup come down the line. I mean, we saw the same arguments with LeBron James compared to Kobe and Michael Jordan before he had won a championship. And we do that with every single sport. And obviously baseball is different because you have your pitchers, you have your 9 positional players out there, 8 positional players out there. So it's not as easy of an argument, but it's the same legacy that happened with Barry Bonds. I mean, the dude never won a World Series, and that's how we remember him. And he took a lot of steroids.
Well, besides Mike Trout, a lot of other players signed extensions. You had Brandon Lowe signing his 6-year deal. Alex Bregman, another 6-year, $100 million. I think he deserved that.
Oh, he definitely did.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I think he's arguably, besides Jose Altuve, I think he's the best player on the team. And you could give an argument to Carlos Correa, but I mean, Bregman has been consistent since day one of stepping on the field.
I agree, yeah. The big one that I thought was interesting, though, was that the White Sox, they put a 8-year deal on the table for Eloy Jimenez, who, he hasn't even played an official full season. He just had, I don't know how many games he's played up there.
Well, I think he slotted for AAA this year, but he was up in between Double and AAA last year. This to me is just the MLB getting out ahead of the arbitration negotiations. MLB. And it's a smart move. I mean, now it allows them the flexibility to call him up when they need to, and not have to worry about using his eligibility because he is under contract. I think it's a smart move. I think it's a smart move for Houston. I think it's a smart move for the White Sox. And remember, the White Sox were in on a lot of big-name free agents, and they didn't get any of them. So they got to start showing some respect to their players.
Yeah, Brandon, I want to get your opinion on this, and I want to know, do you think the Padres should do this with Tatis?
Definitely. I mean, if Tatis, if he's willing, I definitely think this is a smart move to get out in front. I feel like the arbitration process in general is not a good one. It creates a bad relationship with the team and their players. They go into these arbitration hearings, and it's lawyers basically, spitting out facts on why the player's not worth what he's trying to get, and it, just creates so much, uncertainty with the future with the team, and you just don't want to create that bad blood, and you want to avoid that at all possible. And if you can buy out all those arbitration years, you create more of a healthy relationship. A player's more likely to want to sign, those free agent years away with the team as well. And then, you're also setting aside that money too, so you know what your payroll is going to look like down the road. So if Tatis would be open to the idea of doing that, I think that would definitely be a good decision for the team. The only real question is whether or not you believe the player's going to be successful. But, we just saw him sign for, what was that, $77 million over 8 years. Yeah. I mean, that's a long time, and that's not that huge of a financial commitment if you put it on a yearly value. That's less than $10 million a year. But if he ends up if he has that career-ending injury or something like that, you're assuming a little bit of risk there.
I mean, I agree with Brandon wholeheartedly here. And the biggest reason, again, it takes away the arbitration arguments and the negotiations that go into that process, which is hell. The other part of that, too, is you're not taking much of a financial risk, because if you do end up having a player that turns into a star, I mean, you're going to be paying him between $10 to $20 million each of those arbitration years regardless. So if you offer a fair contract to him right away, that basically states that, we're covering the millions of dollars that we would project you to make later on in what would have been arbitration, to allow you to play right now. So I think it's a good move. And like Brandon said, it's just the player has to want to do it. The bar's set pretty high with the $77 million for a player that hasn't played professionally. So I feel like Poppy would definitely want something more than that. As he should if we're talking about prospects. His prospect ranking is clearly higher. But no, I definitely think they should.
Yeah, I definitely agree with you guys are saying. Plus, I feel like it's commitment to the player. We've been talking about how teams have been holding players down or prospects down so they can gain another year control on them. Just kind of, more or less says, we believe in you and we'll bring you up when we want to.
Yeah. I mean, it definitely has to be fair to the organization and to the player. So the negotiation would have to be, both parties would have to be interested in the offer. But I definitely think it's something that you're going to be seeing, especially with those, with all of this being up for discussion after the year.
Well, this was in the show notes, and I wanted to ask the story behind it or more information on it. Mookie Betts gets offered, or the talk or a rumor, whatever, a $200 million extension. I don't know the years and all that stuff, but he ended up rejecting it. But what was the story behind that?
I hadn't done the full, I didn't really do a full dig in on that, but, I kind of saw the headline there, and I wanted to hear what your guys' thoughts were on it. But, from my understanding, what I had seen was that the Red Sox were essentially trying to do what all these other teams are doing, where they're trying to buy out all their arbitration years and maybe gain an extra year or two of control with him, for his free agency years. And so they offered him that contract, that $200 million, and, apparently he turned that down. And these were rumors, and then Mookie confirmed that those rumors were true. So, that's proof that if you can do it, try to do it if you know the guy's going to be a superstar. The player's got to be willing to do it as well, and both parties got to be interested.
So this, from my understanding, this was an offer that was proposed to Mookie at the end of the 2017 season. So before this last year, when he won American League MVP, they offered him an 8-year, $200 million contract, and he basically said that he, would rather reach free agency first. So, we've already seen him outplay the contract that was offered to him in regards to, winning MVP this past season. And even a better deal for him now, seeing what Mike Trout's making. Obviously, we know that the Red Sox don't have an issue paying people, but trying to get some of their, top talent at a little bit of a discount was probably the priority there, which clearly didn't work out in their favor. But you have to applaud the team for, attempting, and then you also have to applaud the player for, denying it and then going out and outperforming the contract that was previously offered.
Yeah, I didn't know that when the contract was offered, so at first it looks just like team proposed this to him, he essentially laughed in their faces. But even a deal like that, trying to give him a contract extension for that much, 8 years, $200 million, I would laugh too. Like you said, he was the AL MVP last year. He's one of the top. I don't know. I think he's gonna have another breakout season. He just seems so talented and on such a good team and like a core around him.
Well, to me, he was arguably the next best player to Mike Trout right now in regards to a five-tool player.
Yeah.
He plays defense great. He strokes the ball. He's definitely benefited off of playing with a short course in left field. But that doesn't take away from any of his pure power that he has. And then the other big thing there too, the Red Sox just won a World Series. So anytime that you can couple a MVP season with a World Series championship, he's going to be looking for money within spitting distance of what Mike Trout's making. And no, I don't think that he is. Yeah, I don't think he's $100 or $100 million less valuable than Mike Trout. So I can imagine it being around $400 million.
That'll be another blockbuster. deal that happens, or he could be like a Harper Machado, where he's just waiting for him to go.
I think that he'll definitely want to stay with the Red Sox. That's a player. I mean, especially when you talk about having an opportunity to go out and win multiple World Series with the team. Being in an organization that's not afraid to go out and spend money when they need to, and let go of players when they know they're past their prime. I think if the Red Sox was trying to get out in front of everything because they know they have a lot of talent there. Xander Bogaerts, they just spent a lot of money on JD Martinez. They're trying to get an idea of what their future is going to look like as far as budget goes. And, I mean, like I said, you can't really, knock the team for trying, but now it definitely does look laughable.
But, another great week. Baseball started. We had the first game, what was it, yesterday or 2 days ago when you listened to this? The 20th. Mariners versus the A's in Japan. Everybody out there is loving having Ichiro, watching him, do all that kind of stuff. But I think the Mariners ended up winning that game. 9-5.
Yeah, they're 2-0.
It's so confusing.
Yeah, they've won both games, which I wouldn't have picked.
I saw that Ichiro officially retired the game after today or Thursday, whatever, and no one would leave the stadium.
Yeah, they said that he told the Mariners today that he was planning on retiring, but that agreement was in place last year or whenever it was set up that they were going to be playing in Japan. But yeah, I mean, that's pretty exciting. A lot of home runs were hit in both games. I don't know what the elevation's like over there, or the size of the dimensions of that ballpark.
Being juiced.
But they hit 5 home runs. I know the A's hit a lot of home runs in general, but yeah, they hit 5 home runs in that first game.
Yeah, I think there was another 2 or 3 hits the next day.
Yeah, earlier today. Yeah, and then you have. This game went to not overtime, but extra innings earlier today too. So got a little free last bit of Ichiro playing. I think he got like a huge standing ovation too. And
poor sucker didn't get a hit though. That bummed me out.
Yeah. Ichiro, if he probably played his entire career he might be regarded as one of the best contact hitters to ever play the game.
I mean, I still feel like he's in conversation. Maybe not the most highly regarded, but
yeah. No, he's definitely in this, but you might make the argument that he is the best. So,
in your guys' opinion, who is the best?
Probably Pete Rose.
Yeah, you have to go Pete Rose. Even though say what you will, what his little gambling issue, but
I mean that doesn't affect his hitting.
That's kind of what I feel. That's my thoughts on it too. But I know the old-time baseball fans. They're
exactly the old-timers, man. Like,
oh gosh, I just watched. I'm watching the Seton Hall Wolford game, and this guy just blocked the shot and it nailed the ref right in the head.
Nice. Some sort of karma there, right?
That's funny. So it was weird though that they're playing a game and spring training still happening. I don't remember if that's ever happened before. But do you guys think they should shorten spring training?
I think that they could shorten it without actually shortening the games. I think one of the things that they should probably look into is, having it like an A and a B squad playing at the same time. Because these players are going out there to get reps right now. It's not they're not out there showcasing their skills. They're not out there, trying to unify as a team necessarily. I mean, this is purely a, general management standpoint of where are our players and, who needs to be placed where right now. And I feel like, the first couple weeks, if you did that, having an A and a B team, and then kind of unifying those could allow for the same amount of games played in a shorter time.
Yeah,
I like
What do you think?
I like the sound of that. Yeah, I definitely think it is good to have your outfielders all on the same page, kind of getting used to playing with one another, your infielders and stuff. But the idea of having kind of like a first string team and a second string team, out there playing on a regular basis.
And you can work it however you want to. It's like if you want your starting outfield on one and then your starting infield on another, you could always do it that way. You can manipulate it in whatever direction that you want to.
And you can just shorten it to like 2, maybe 3 weeks as opposed to a month and a half.
Yeah. I definitely think that it would allow for more repetition. And then the other big thing too is like some of these pitchers that go out there, they don't get enough reps. So I feel like it would allow for some of your younger guys to go out there and see what it's like to pitch on a professional level. And then they'd be playing behind talent that is adequate, to a professional team, not necessarily going out there, pitching with a defense that's going to be playing in professionals for a couple innings and then going back to Double-A in a couple weeks, and then it's like, oh, that would have been a ground ball out. Now it's a single up the middle. So I think it allows you to get, a little bit more personnel use, and again, allowing to shorten the spring training without minimizing the amount of games they have to play. So like I said, it's all about the work that they're getting in. They're just out there trying to get reps.
Yeah, and we always hear baseball complain about how they don't like seeing November baseball and that the postseason runs too long based on the size of the regular season. And I just don't ever envision a scenario where the owners are on board with shortening the season. That's a loss of money, and they're signing these players. Especially right now, you're seeing them sign these massive contracts. They don't want to cut the regular season shorter. And so you got to find ways to, make it a little bit easier on the players. Once it gets towards November too, most of these games in the East Coast, they snow out or they rain out or there's just like crazy, conditions. And baseball is one of those sports that it's meant to be played out in sunny weather. That's kind of my thought on everything.
Yeah. I think the biggest thing that they have to get through first is free agency. It's like they got to get these players signed faster, or else nobody will talk about shortening spring training.
Yeah, well, they will. They don't want to be free agents during the regular season. It's looking like Dallas Keuchel is probably going to start the season out as a free agent.
Yeah, but it looked like Craig Kimbrel getting some nibbles.
He's getting a little nibble. The Brewers trying to make their arguably top 5 bullpen even better.
Yeah, that would be a huge acquisition for them, especially playing out there with the Cardinals and the Cubs. Yeah, Josh Hader is a phenomenal pitcher, so I don't know about how they'd want to work that. But anytime you can add more, we saw the Yankees do it with Chapman and Miller on the team at the same time. So it can be done. It's never a bad thing to have too many good relievers.
Especially for postseason baseball.
Mm-hmm.
And this is a team that's primed for another good run, so it's like the more arms you can add, the better.
Well, speaking of good bullpens, I want to talk about the Padres bullpen. Because it says Robbie Erlin looks like he's going to open in the bullpen. And then Jacob Nix might be out with like a UCL tear. So that kind of shortens the herd on, our rotation or the top guys that we have. So
I think it was Brian Mitchell they wanted in the bullpen.
Sorry, what?
They said Brian Mitchell for the bullpen, I believe.
I was reading something yesterday where they wanted Robbie Erlin in there.
2? Well, then that just eliminates 3 potential.
Because they're planning on having Paddock up there, boys. It's happening.
I think it is. They had a long chat after
Ryan
last start.
said it first.
You guys did pick it, man. I just, I thought they were going to probably wait it out a little bit, but I know he's going to be on an inning restriction this year, so I wouldn't be surprised if he kind of, let's say we're off to a decent start this year. I wouldn't be surprised if you're starting to ramp up. They actually start shutting him down.
You guys think that there's any chance that Logan Allen He's in this opening day start rotation? Or
Nah.
I don't think he's gonna be on the opening day. I think he's gonna be in the rotation though, just because that dude has done just about all he can do in the minors. It seems like he's supposed to be the most polished one, even though Paddock has played insanely good in spring training. But you look at all of Logan Allen's numbers, everywhere he's gone in the minors, he's just done really, really well. But I don't know if he has the elite stuff that, like someone like Paddock or other guy, I can't think of his name right now. He's our top pitching prospect. Can't think of his name right now. Top pitching prospect.
Gore?
Yeah, Mackenzie Gore. I don't think he has the elite stuff with him, but I feel like he knows how to get out. So there's value in that.
So does anybody want to change their pick of opening day starter from Lucchesi to Paddock?
I'm still going for
No.
Lucchesi.
Lucchesi's definitely. I can see him getting Paddock out feels like either a day 2 or 3.
Hopefully it's day 2, because I'm going to that game.
It's probably going to be 4 or 5.
Just because I said that.
Yeah.
So who do you know right now?
I feel like Lauer, in my opinion, is probably 2 right now, but I could see him being 3 also.
Yeah, they have him listed as 3 right now. So we'll see going forward how that goes. Last bit of Padres news. Manny Machado finally hit his first Padre home run.
Official.
Yeah, I'm really confused by that because the first one wasn't in an official spring training game.
Or what do you mean? Why didn't that one count?
Yeah.
They canceled the game, I guess, because it rained out. The rule was like 5.5 innings or something. So
no, I'm not excited about this because he hit 2 home runs now.
Yep, but he's not getting credit for that first one.
But it's his first official.
Bullshit, dude. It's a spring training game.
Yeah. Doesn't matter.
It doesn't matter.
It's like the win. The stat doesn't
It's
matter
like-
either. It's whether or not he's hitting the ball good.
I was gonna say, we pay him $300 million. Like he should be hitting the ball over the fence occasionally.
That last one, it looked like he got underneath it, and still carried out. That just speaks to his power and his ability to drive the ball.
Yeah, the dude. I mean, that's never been the question. The dude can hit the ball just as good as anybody else in Major League Baseball.
Agreed.
Yeah.
I'm happy to have him.
Yeah, I'm definitely happy with him. Especially because I was just going through that list of the top 100 the other day, and Machado was above Harper. And I know that, last year, all that kind of stuff. But still, having a guy like that on your team that's in the top 15, it makes you feel good.
It's getting exciting. I can't wait.
Yeah, I can't wait either. You guys got anything else for baseball?
I feel like that's, we kind of covered our bases, no pun intended, but
Fernando Tatis and Manny Machado were on the cover of Sports Illustrated.
That was cool.
yeah, they were. I know
That's pretty
Tatis got his wisdom teeth pulled out. That just tells you how young he is. He was missing a lot of spring training.
good. That's pretty funny.
He missed like a week and a half or something like that because he got his wisdom teeth pulled out.
Like, you couldn't have just deferred that to later?
I don't know. That shit hurts when they're in there.
He's like, I got dental insurance. Let's go.
I'm on the Padres roster now.
Exactly. Dude, there wasn't really much. I want to transition to NFL. There wasn't really much. Just, I thought it was interesting that the Raiders signed Vontaze Burfict, as if that's going to be their answer to their whole,
John
Drew.
Drew.
Oh,
Oh,
Max.
Khalil Mack.
Yeah. I don't know. I don't get what they're doing over there in Oakland.
Dude,
None
they're
of these moves
rebuilding in
make
the wrong
sense.
direction. Yeah, it's bad, man.
It's hard to see what their vision is.
it really doesn't make sense because you've added more head cases to a team that worked so hard to get out of that limelight. Like, I mean, it's not good.
Yeah, no, it's not good. Plus, there's that whole story about how he like knocked out AB, and now it's like more drama on that team. And like you said, they just got out of that limelight. They don't need to be brought back into it.
Yeah, man. I mean, like, there's a few people out there that have said that they've had the best off season. You know, with the acquisition of Antonio Brown, they signed Terrell Williams, LaMarcus Joyner. Out of a player like Trent Brown, like, they definitely got better on paper. But how many times have we seen teams building through free agency? It's like, we get that you have the money to spend. You just traded all of your valuable assets away. Did you really upgrade, though? I mean, you're paying these guys a lot of money, but how much did you upgrade? Because, I mean, I've said it, 1,000 times, as far as free agency goes in the NFL, if NFL teams want to hold on to players, they do. They're the first player or the first team that gets to negotiate before the year even starts, and then they can, tag them up to 3 times if they want to. That there's not a lot of value in free agency for teams that are trying to rebuild. Yeah. So, I mean, the Raiders, luckily, they still have 3 first-round draft picks this year, and they need to hit on every single one of them.
And it kind of sucks because it's such a one-sided draft.
It's all defense.
It's all defense. You can only load up on one side of the ball. You can only go for so much depth. Yeah, it just doesn't seem to be at times.
Oh, and it's all interior defense. It's not. I mean, there's not even like a bunch of big name corners out there. Like, you have some pretty good safeties, but outside of that, I mean, it's all defensive end, tackles, and linebackers. So we'll see, though. I mean, John Gruden's worth the millions and millions of dollars they're paying him, then it'll work, but it doesn't look great to me.
It doesn't look great. There's been some questionable teams this whole offseason in the NFL. Just what moves they're making, how the Giants, OBJ, signed Golden Tate, the Bills going wild, Steelers losing everybody, trying to spend that much money. It'll be an interesting time in the NFL next year.
Oh, definitely. I mean, it always is on a year-to-year basis. I mean, I will say I feel like the Rams are doing a good job of revamping up that defense. They just signed Clay Matthews. We talked last week about how they picked up Eric Weddle. It doesn't look like they're going to hold on to Ndamukong Suh, but they still have Believe and Peters back there as well. So, I mean, they're still going to be the toughest team out west in the NFC division. I mean, I applaud them for their work. Again, it's a totally different scenario than the Raiders are in, though. It's like they just made it to the Super Bowl. They have a transcript on how to get back there. And now they're utilizing the money that they have left on players that they think will help push them over the edge.
Well, Ryan, you're a pretty big draft guy. The combine happened. A lot of these players had their pro day. Who do you think the Chargers are going to go for?
I think it's still kind of up in the air. The Chargers are sitting back there at pick number 28, and there's a couple players. Sorry, I'm blanking on their names, but I got it here on my phone. They definitely need to look at building up either the offensive line or the defensive line. I could definitely see them going. There's an offensive tackle out of Kansas State, Dalton Risner, the guy that I've seen them potentially, mock to draft. And then another guy. Hold on, real quick. Here we go. Oh, Jerry Tillery from Notre Dame, defensive tackle. I mean, they re-signed Denzel Perryman, and then they went out and signed the linebacker from Carolina. So it looks like they're feeling pretty confident with the linebackers that they have. Drafted Justin Justin Thomas, I think was his name, third round pick last year, defensive tackle. They seem pretty confident in him. I think they just need more power up front. I've been pretty satisfied with their defensive back play as of late. Now it's just, the ability to apply pressure towards the center to help that run game. So I look for them to either, beef up the inside linebacking core or the interior defensive line. Because with Bosa and Ingram on the outside, man, I mean, they have so many weapons to utilize. They need to allow those players to succeed more by getting players that can do a better job up front.
Yeah, I agree. Didn't really watch too much Charger ball last year, but just knowing their current roster and who they lost and who they're trying to bring back, it definitely seems that up the middle rush needs to be beefed up, like you said. And O-line has always been a problem for the Chargers over the past years. So,
I mean, I know that there's been talks about them going after another receiver. In my opinion, with Hunter Henry being back and healthy, and Mike Williams surging like he did last year, obviously the All-Pro Keenan Allen, they have plenty of weapons to get the ball to, and also they utilize their running backs a lot with Austin Eckler and Melvin Gordon. It seems to me like a time to start building up the interior on both sides of the ball. They need depth at offensive line, and they need some real power rushers on that defensive side of the ball.
Do you got anything in basketball for us?
Just the playoff heat, it's heating up. Right now, actually, the Utah Jazz just lost earlier today. Now there's a 4-way tie for 5th place in the Western Conference. So, OKC, the Spurs, Utah, and my Clippers are all tied for that 5th spot.
I will say this, B, the Lakers are for sure making the playoffs.
There's no way in hell the Lakers are making the playoffs.
No, I'm sorry, the Clippers.
Oh, yeah.
The other Los Angeles team.
The playoffs are pretty much set out west.
Now it's just a matter of placement. But
yeah, exactly.
The one thing that I wanted to bring up in regards to this is that there is only a 3-game difference between the number 3 seed and the number 8 seed out west. 3 games.
Yep.
Like Brandon talked about, there's a 4-way tie, and then right above that you have a 2-game lead from Portland, and then a 1-game lead above them with Houston. Even at that, there's only a 6-game difference between Golden State and the Clippers. It's insane. It's so tight.
It's very tight.
It's like you have and it's funny because it's like you have the 8 teams and then 50 feet of crap.
Yeah.
And then it's the Kings falling in.
Well,
and then it's like out east, it's like you have Miami, who's 1 game below 500, who's still in playoff contention.
This is what I think is crazy. I think this is going to be the first year that Golden State is going to have to kind of scratch and claw for more of the to get that NBA Finals than they have in years past.
Well, there's a possibility that they're playing OKC in the first round. And that's crazy.
Definitely. Yeah, if Utah actually didn't win, just the way that the tiebreakers were going into today, OKC was the 8th seed. And just what it is, the combined, matchup. That's what determines, the placement like that. But yeah, I mean, it's going to come down to the wire. Every game's important at this point. I don't know if you guys saw, Dimmer just signed a 2-year deal with the Phoenix Suns. You guys see that?
Isn't he like 40 now?
He's like 30. But, yeah, the second year's not guaranteed. It'll just be kind of more of a trial thing, see if he catches on for the rest of this year. So I think Kelly Oubre's out for the year. And looks like basically the Timberwolves are done for the year. They're aside from Karl Anthony Towns, they're shutting down Robert Covington. They're shutting down, I think, Dario Saric. Derrick Rose for sure. And Jeff Teague, sorry. But, yeah, I mean, injuries taking a toll. You're going to see those teams that are trying to tank. They're going to play a role in the playoff seeding for sure.
Yeah. Well,
that's pretty much it for basketball. Nothing too crazy. Just pretty much the playoffs are for the most part set. It's just seeding at this point.
Yeah. Same with NHL. Hockey playoffs start in about 2 weeks. The season ends first week of April, and playoffs after that. Basically, it's all set up. It's just seeding, like you said. Same with basketball.
They start at the same time, basically, I think, because I think basketball, it's like one week in April, and then after that it's playoffs.
Yeah, I think so. It's unfortunate, though, because the Canucks are only like 4 points out being a wild card, so it's still fun. Okay. I know we didn't have a stat of the day this week, but I figured we could just do another Padre question.
Okay. Yeah, definitely. I think Ryan just got disconnected. He just sent us a text, but you want to try to get him back in?
Let's see if I can get him back in. I'm calling him again.
Happy now, let's do it.
You back?
Yeah.
Alright. You hear what I said, or did you miss that?
NHL, I got you.
Yeah.
No, he's
I didn't do a stat of the day, so I decided we'll just do another Padre question.
Go for it.
I'm looking for it. Alright, here we go. This one is in hopes that we get back to the pennant race and we go top of the division. But how many times did the Padres win the West Division in the National League while they were at Qualcomm Stadium?
3 times?
I'll go with 3.
Oh, I don't know. I was just throwing out my guess.
I think it's 3.
It's 3. They won the West Division title in 84, 96, and 98.
Nice.
That's really bad.
What?
That's really bad.
It's just bad that's how many times we've won the division?
Yeah. And then how many times has it been at Petco? Like 2?
Well, I said Petco, yeah.
Yeah, so 5 in our entire 50 years.
I feel like they're doing it right though this time. I feel like their vision is not just making the playoffs; it's trying to win the World Series. I feel like that's what their goal is. And in years past, I feel like it was just to put a winning ball club out there.
Our Padres stats and questions are always so depressing.
Well, aside from a few talented players who played for our team, it hasn't the bright spots haven't necessarily been there from a team perspective.
Yeah.
This is a fun one. When Gary Sheffield was traded to the Florida Marlins in 1993, what former shortstop was sent to San Diego?
Trevor Hoffman.
What the hell, baby?
Yeah, that one.
Everyone knows that, though.
Yeah.
That's like Padre 101.
Yeah.
Like,
it's like so quick.
well, is that there? Gary Sheffield will always be tied to Trevor Hoffman.
Yeah, I didn't know he started as a shortstop in the farm.
Yes, he did.
And then he developed his circle of change, and that's what made him an elite closer.
That's it.
True that. We do a good job like turning these project pitchers into studs. Like Brad Hand was like a crappy player that we got from the Marlins, and he just blossomed into an elite closer. And now he's playing good for the Indians. So
Yeah, how do you guys feel about Kirby Yates getting the ball in the ninth inning?
I don't ever worry about closers for us, to be honest. Like every year we always have a guy who's in the tops in saves, or at least in the discussion for the National League. He's like a top 5 saves guy in the National League. You think about it, like Houston Street, Heath Bell, you name it. Let's see,
Fernando
even
Rodney.
we had, Fernando Rodney. Even Brandon Maurer was a solid closer for us. And, Kirby Yates probably should have been an all-star last year, except Brad Hand got the bid because he was an actual closer. But Yates' ERA was in like the ones for most of the year. Kind of dipped a little bit last year, but I mean, the beauty about playing for the Padres is we're not in the limelight, so there's not a lot of pressure in that ninth inning compared to pitching for the Red Sox or the Yankees or Cubs or one of those high-profile, big-market teams.
One last question
And then
for you guys.
Yeah.
If you could clone one current Padre player to play every position, who would it be?
What the fuck kind of question is that, Dean?
It's a good one.
I feel like it would have to be Machado because he's proven.
Yeah, but he's slow.
Yeah, but his bat makes up for it. He actually steals a decent number of bases for a guy with his speed.
I'll say Tatis.
That's what I was going to say.
Tatis is tempting, but he's just not proven yet. That's the only reason why. But
I can't wait to go back and
That-
listen to this after Brandon doubted him.
I know. Why do you hate him
I'm
so
just-
much, Brandon?
I don't hate him. I'm just saying that's what was the tiebreaker for me as to whether or not it would be Machado or Tatis was the fact that Machado's been out there and has done it for the last 5-6 years, and Machado has never done it before.
All right. Well, I think that wraps it up, guys.
This is our first remote podcast, right? All of us.
Yeah, it is.
Yeah, hopefully it sounds good on on iTunes or whatever.
Yeah, we'll have to give it a listen. Let you guys know.
True that.
Well, guys, I'll be back next week. Saturday, we're doing a little thing for my birthday. And my aunt and uncle in town, so if you guys are more than me.
I know your mom texted me.
Yeah, that's what she said.
That's what she said.
I'll try not to make it. But yeah, come on by. Have some fun. After going on a work trip for next week, so it'll be good to see everybody.
Man. All right, man. Sounds good.
Alright, guys, I will see you next week.
See you next week, man.
Alrighty. Later.